praying you have a great week. Today we are looking at Genesis chapter 13, where God speaks about His Word, and He talks about two people. He talks about this person named Abraham and a close relative of Abraham, or Abram. The person name is Lot. And anyway, they separate ways. This chapter talks about following God, listening to God, and what results when we follow God. Results in obedience versus when we don't follow God, the response is basically wickedness. And anyway, here we go. So Abraham and Lot, again, they're relatives. They've been following each other for quite some time, and they have lived blessed lives. They've got plenty of livestock. The Bible says that both of them became very rich, and so they pitched a tent in this territory, in this land called Bethel and Ai. And but the problem was with this land, it could not support both Abram and Lot's family and possessions, because they had so much. And so they had to separate. What was happening, there was all kinds of fights happening and conflicts happening between their families, and so they decided to separate. But what I love about Abraham and Abram's heart is that he gave Lot the first choice. And he says, you can have any of the lands. You can pick whatever you see, whatever you feel like is the best land. And so Lot went and chose a land near Sodom, and Abram went and chose a land in Canaan. But if you remember, Sodom and Gomorrah hasn't happened yet. You've heard of Sodom and Gomorrah, but with Sodom and Gomorrah, we eventually know that they sinned so much that God basically destroyed the city because of their sin. And but anyway, what God did with Abram, God promised Abraham a future, and God said, Abram, you're gonna have a permanent possession of all the land because of your obedience, as far as you can see. And it's gonna be like the dust of the ground or the sand on the seashore will be the number of your descendants, because I am with you. That all of the promises you're going to experience in your life is because of your obedience, and it can't even be counted. And but God says, I'm giving that to you because of your obedience. Anyway, here's my application for today. God gives all of us choices, and that we have a choice. Are we going to follow Him and obey and serve Him? I also put here that sin divides, it separates. It creates a gap and a gulf between us and God, and our heart and God's heart. It creates conflict. And then also put here that God will never force anyone to follow Him or love Him. He has the power and the ability to do so, because God is a loving God. He's, when He created the world and humanity, He gave all of us a free choice to whether or not we're going to follow and serve Him or not. But God didn't create robots. God gave you and I choices to make. And I just wonder about our choices. Your choices, are they ones that will please God or displease God today? Then just a few more things I put here. Keep away from wicked people and wicked places. And the reason why we should keep away from them, we should share the good news with them. They need to hear the gospel, but we want to keep away from them because they have the ability to influence us more than we can influence them. And we need to be careful, because we learn in this story the places we go and the people we hang out with, and they have the ability again to influence us. So we will be very careful. Then also put here is, when we follow God's plans, we won't be able to count the blessings that He wants to bring in our lives, and not just for us, but God will bless other people because of our obedience. So not just God just comes in and again not blesses us, but it's a blessing to people around us because of our obedience, because of what God does. And then I put here, last thing, it says, what places do you need to walk and declare that it's yours, God has given you? Because one of the last things God told Abram was to go and walk in every direction. In every place you put your foot is going to be your possession, is going to be your land. And here's my prayer today, is this, that God will help us make right choices which will please Him, and that we would walk and declare what God has already promised and what God has already given us. And I wonder, what has God already given you, and you need to begin to walk in it and declare those things in your life. Is it land? Is it property? Is it forgiveness? Is it healing? Is it revival? Is it peace? Is it power? What places that you need to begin to walk and declare that this is your land, this is your place, this is your opportunity, this is your time, because God has given you that thing in your life. I know I'm doing that lately, and God has given me some promises about some things in my life and my family, and I'm walking in promises and standing in promises that God has given to me, and I'm also doing that for our church. God's blessed my church, and not my church, it's His church, but I lead it for Him. But God's blessed us, and we're learning to walk in faith, trust God every single day. We're looking at bigger properties and bigger opportunities, and we're looking at hiring more staff because God's blessed us with some amazing families, and God's blessed us financially too, that we've been a blessing to our city and learning to being able to help people. But I'm walking, declaring some things in my life, and because I know I want to live a life that pleases God. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. Walk and declare some things in your life. Again, if it's healing, if it's deliverance, whatever it is, you just begin to speak it out. You begin to walk it out, knowing that God has given you that thing. And also remember to keep away from those people and those things that will pull you away from God. God bless you. Hope you have a great day. Remember today, please be praying for teachers. Today is their first day back with their students. It's a really overwhelming day for many teachers. It's a good day, but please keep them in your prayers today. They need that prayer. And today, remember, you matter to me, but more importantly, you matter to God. God bless you, and we will see you soon.